Mustafa Bey? Mustafa Bey?
Buyurun Erol Bey.
Konuk
No.
bağlanamıyor. Hi, Irina?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Now we are all set.
Let me connect my audio. Right,
Hi, we could see you.
here we are. Hi, everyone.
I welcome you all to Istanbul Aydın University Blockchain Talks webinar. Our today's speaker is Miss Irina Karagyaur. She is the head of Metaverse growth at Unique Network, Polkadot head ambassador for Western Europe, London's regional co-chair to FIBRI, co-founder of Design B2C. And we are very honored to have Irina Karagyur to talk about the open metaverse, which is the most hot subject at the moment on the digital world. So Irina, you have the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Errol. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Well, the metaverse, as you may have seen it, it became actually a hot topic for sort of general public, mainly because of the announcement of Facebook turning it into Meta. And what we're trying to do here in the Web3 is basically now draw a line and create awareness and explain the difference between what the centralized platforms are building and what decentralized platforms are building. Because the principle of Web3 is decentralization. It is based on token economy, and it is based on fair distribution of wealth and creation of wealth for everybody in the world. Because basically the gate for you to enter token economy and the metaverse is a crypto wallet. Because the underlying layer of Web3 is blockchain technology and token economy. Because as we see in the Web2, with the creation of Web2, the main problem there is that we as people, as users, we don't own anything. So you just exchange information, you upload your photos and videos and content on the web, and you have no rights of ownership over anything you post online. So then big companies, media platforms, tech giants, they use that information mainly for commercial purposes, and they monetize your content, and you are being and oftentimes, more often than not, that happens without you even being conscious about it or knowing what exactly information they're using, what you're putting out there. And what Web3 is fundamentally changing is the ownership of your information. It adds a layer, blockchain adds a layer of transparency on transactions. There are many different applications being built, such as social media for Web3, for example, an alternative to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. But with these alternatives, you actually own your content as a creator, and you can monetize it. You can ask your viewers to pay you directly into your wallet. You can set your prices, your rates, whichever way you like. And of course, with the boom of DeFi in summer 2020, we now see a different infrastructure of tokens and different financial infrastructure, because it gave birth and traction to many more platforms and many more tokens. There are financial applications, financial infrastructure, and we're heading towards the future of multi-chain, where all these infrastructures, financial and only, will be able to talk to each other. And here's where the Polkadot comes into play, because the basic idea behind Polkadot is to make blockchains talk to each other, is to build bridges and to have this interoperability. Because just like in the Web2 internet, different protocols, they talk to each other. So as an end user, again, we don't have frictions. We can open any email, any application, any website without needing to go into the code, to move our emails, for example, manually. So the same thing will happen in Web3 in some near future. We still are in the stage of transition from kind of developer-based interfaces, and how I always kind of draw this parallel. In Web 2, we at the beginning had WordPress for creating websites. And if you remember that technology to build websites, you could see that you needed to insert some code, and for a normal person who runs small business, for example, it was very difficult to assemble a website, because you had to dig into code, you had to do more learning. And then some years later, we had Wix for building websites just intuitively by dragging pictures, by dragging blocks, and assembling the visual content for your website. Because what matters for you as the end user is to be able to practically use this technology and to power your business, to create your economy. So the same will be happening, and is already happening with many elements of Web3. The wallets are becoming more accessible. You know that MetaMask now is probably the most used one of all. In Polkadot, we have Polkadot.js, and it is still quite complicated. But there are other wallets like Fearless Wallet that you can connect on your mobile. And more, this technology is becoming accessible. And the focus for 2022 for me will be on the front-end development. Also because the companies like Meta will be investing more money in the virtual worlds and into development of front end. So what the end user sees, the interfaces, virtual glasses, 3D elements, and all that, if we manage to power it with actually to insert right decentralized platforms, it can actually turn into a good thing. Because the virtual world, right, it cannot be decentralized. Like the front end cannot be decentralized. We still need a lot of investment, which is coming into this space for the next 10 years. But the underlying layer, the economy, the blockchain, has to be decentralized in order for us to really build a different system, build different system of ownership on these assets that will be traded on the internet. And NFT will be one of these very powerful tools for tokenizing literally everything. So starting from identities, any objects in the metaverse, then in-game assets, and gaming industry will probably triple in size next year, because you've already seen cases like Axie Infinity, and that is something that helps people to earn income, actually. I hear a lot of, we don't all know about the Philippines, but also in Venezuela, where the economy and the state is not providing people, with the right social, economic security, the ability to earn income. People discovered this metaverse and this new way of earning income. And this can be an alternative for somebody who doesn't want to relocate or cannot relocate to a city like London, let's say, but also with this current economic crisis, we don't even know where big cities are going, right? It's the world is just changing very quickly. And we have this sort of parallel economic reality that we are able to build ourselves. And what we've seen so far is all these companies trying to kind of replicate existing economic models and existing ways we trade and exchange goods, even though they're virtual goods. But in my opinion, we actually have a great opportunity with this new tech and metaverses to experiment, to build economic structures and ways to exchange goods in a completely different way, in basically the way we want. And we can start small, because there are already established virtual worlds. There's Sandbox, there's Decentraland, and some of them, they have been around for over 10 years. It's just that it wasn't there was not so much attention given by the press to this world. So this technology has been developing for a very long time. It wasn't born yesterday. But NFTs and what really powers it from the economic perspective is fairly new, because we've seen first cases of NFTs back in 2017. So in terms of what NFT can bring, non-fungible token, right, into the space, we're still very, very early. And we didn't even begin seeing real use cases, real interesting use cases, because so far NFTs are used for mainly avatars or collectibles. And this is fun to use in games, because even with the internet 2.0, the first chats, people had their nicknames and they had kind of a way to create a new identity on the internet. And the same thing is happening in Web3, because now we have the opportunity to create an avatar in 3D and exist in this world in a different shape and appearance. But then what is most important is that apart from just playing with it and having it as a game, and it's just fun thing to spend our time on the internet, we can actually monetize it. Because now if you enter a game, you play it for some time because you want to try something new, or you're on vacation, you have free time and opportunity to do it. But then you get bored, or you say, okay, enough, I had had some entertainment. But then you can put your item, your NFT, on the marketplace and sell it, or transfer it to somebody else. So you can actually monetize the time that you've invested being in this virtual space. The same will happen with advertisement. Now we spend our time on the internet, on social media. We're constantly exposed to different content and different advertisement, and big companies are selling us goods. What can happen now is that we can monetize our own content. We can sell our own things, and it can be sold right away. You can have it because of the peer-to-peer element of the blockchain technology. You don't have to put it in a bank, do transactions, and regardless to where you are in the world, you can receive the money straight into your wallet. Of course, we have regulations in place. Of course, it's all not perfect yet, and there are different barriers to entry in different countries, but legislation is changing really soon. And if you look at the recent Misaris crypto report, which I find one of the most appealing for this year, it has 160 pages, but there are videos that you can find from Coinbase, for example, on YouTube to watch a summary. It really talks about how fast DeFi will change and how DeFi will shape basically the rest of the crypto industry, because the most important part of the blockchain ecosystem is liquidity. Where you have the money, you have development. And then liquidity, DeFi, combination of DeFi and NFT will really create powerful base for the virtual world and for the Web3 in a different shape and form as we have not seen it yet. And I'm very much looking forward to these developments and to creative economy, creative businesses flourishing next year. Because, for example, many architectural studios, they are in sort of decisive moment, like there is no innovation enough happening in the architecture world. There was parametric architecture that emerged sort of about 15 years ago when it had an expansion, but then it kind of stopped at some point because there was nothing new. There was nothing produced that would boost that development, that would change our society, that would allow us to experiment fundamentally. And now with the metaverse, you can see studios like Zaha, the architects, building DeFi and NFT, metaverse, and a new city for new generations, new ways of monetizing content, and pretty much like we've seen. The explosion of YouTubers, content creators, influencers, bloggers, would see some other professions emerging in the metaverse. And there are people who are working on the future of professions in the metaverse, and this has been happening for the last 2 years. Now Dubai is becoming, again, like at some point it became an architectural hub of experimentation with physical buildings. Now it's becoming a hub of experimentation of the virtual world and virtual buildings. So we are very fortunate, I think, to live in the time of such a change and such an opportunity, because now even being a student, actually, it is fairly easy to enter this space because there is a lot of demand for different professions in the field, for tech knowledge, for engineers, for marketers, for content creators, writers. So there are many opportunities, and the space is moving so fast that it really requires talent, young energy, and I really see it as a huge opportunity which you can enter also being a student, because again, you don't need to be physically present in any space. You can be located anywhere in the world, and you can join communities. You can start learning. There's a lot of materials out there that are free of charge. Even, for example, Web3 Foundation has a course on blockchain, is absolutely free. You can log in and watch the videos that explain you what Polkadot is, how to code without really deep knowledge of programming languages. There are many courses online, and if you haven't tried using Discord, I really recommend you to look out for different communities, ambassador programs, because oftentimes I'm asked, how do I enter this space if I don't know anything? If I'm new, I heard that blockchain exists, but how do I practically start doing something? The best way, in my opinion, and how I began myself, is by joining an ambassador program, because that will help you connect with other people. You'll join either Telegram channel or Discord, try to learn and find out about founders of projects, ask questions. There are many chats for developers and non-developers. And by getting to know projects, by kind of relating to what works for you, you can find also work opportunities and learning opportunities, or maybe you'll develop your own startup. Because another beautiful thing about blockchain and Web3 is that everything is transparent and is on chain, and treasuries that fund startups are also on chain. So you can either go and look at other proposals, and you can have an idea and understand how, what people are building, what are the requirements, and you can also submit your own proposal for the grant. And in Web3 Foundation, for example, there are 2 grant programs. One is under 30,000 for fast track, and another one is over 100,000 for funding tech startups. And it's open for anyone. It's open for all types of teams. There are also requirements at Web3 Foundation websites for applications that are needed to be built for the ecosystem. And for example, we have a need for a wallet, or we need to ask improve Polkadot.js wallet and the interface and the user interface. And as I mentioned previously, there is a lot of work that needs to be done for simplifying user experience. So UX, UI design is in high demand right now. And all this can be submitted, discussed on forums. It's all open, it's all very accessible for students as well.
Thank you, Irina, for your explanation. I have one of our participants, Betty, is asking, about the unsecurity, copying, etc. of the NFTs. She says there is a problem on NFTs. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, again, as we're very early, we discover many bugs and many, many weaknesses in the system. And what can be copied in NFTs, mainly an image itself. And you're probably referring to the case when a hacker, there was a drop, and certain NFTs were dropped to users, and then the team who dropped it changed the NFT overnight, so you discovered a different image in your wallet the next day. This issue is addressed, and there is a group that is working on Block Explorer tool, and that tool will help track, identify NFTs, and prevent copying it. But there is, of course, a lot of work to be done in the copyright area, in protecting both from technological side, but also from the legal side, because even with the royalties and legal rights, it's actually legal work. So everything that is included in a smart contract is previously designed by the lawyers. And it's agreed with an artist and the party, the buyer, the collector, and it is still a work. Like, we shouldn't think that it's all super automated, because it's often not the case. We still need lawyers to work together with the artist and collector and establish the ways and terms and conditions under which the NFTs are bought and resold then on the secondary, tertiary, etc. markets. So yeah, there is a lot of legal issues to fix, and technology is a tool to do things differently and to access different markets and different buyers. Because here what NFT is really addressing for artists is the openness of the market, right? So a lot of people who were not able to make it to Sotheby's auction house, like even Beeple, what he sold at Christie's, 10 years ago, it was impossible to imagine that somebody like Beeple will be selling his artwork so expensive and in a prestigious auction house. Because also there was not enough appreciation and value given to digital art, which was a little bit strange to many artists and to many content creators, because the majority of content that we consume, majority of art that we consume or imagery, it happens online because of the social media, because of the advertisement, because we really spend an enormous amount of our day online looking at websites and looking at different content. However, digital art was not appreciated and was not compensated fairly. And now, because of the shift to NFT, digital artists became noticed, actually. They gained more following, they gained more attention from institutions, and it's a good thing for them, because we are actually supporting this industry and trying to find ways how to fairly compensate it and fairly value it, because value in art is a big topic, is not very straightforward, and is very difficult to evaluate the work, because now we're talking about many different say collectibles like apes, monkeys, koalas, and all this is not art, right? We need to really distinguish that is a collectible, and it's an in-game item, and majority of these NFTs will not have the same value and the same price as they have today in 5 years. Yeah, Bored Apes, for example, as you're saying.
Okay, is there any other question?
Recording in progress.
Well, yes, I see in the chat here that there is a discussion that digital is not physical and can easily be duplicated. Well, physical also, everybody takes a photo of Mona Lisa in Louvre and puts it all over internet. So it's reproduced technically, right? And here's where NFT comes in and the token comes in. Because it's the same thing with physical and digital. If you are the owner of NFT, you have the hash, you have this NFT in your wallet, everybody can copy the image as many times as they want, but you're the only one who has the actual token, and you're the only one who can sell it or rent it. Because not only, like, many people are talking about sales, but renting is still not so popular, but I'm sure it will be, because now technology of Ethereum is not really allowing you to do many things with ownership structure. But as we move on to Polkadot, like now that NFT platforms and Polkadot will be live on the mainnet, you will see such thing as exercising bundle of right over an NFT. So for example, you can rent it, because imagine you're a gallery, right? And you exhibit works of Beeple, and Beeple doesn't want to sell his works. He just wants to put them in the gallery and keep them in the gallery and donate them to Louvre, say, and Louvre exhibits them. So what do? You don't put it on a marketplace, you put it in a gallery. But the gallery should still maintain itself and pay the cost for putting together this exhibition. So they do exactly the same what they do in a physical world. They sell you tickets to enter the gallery. It could be just a website, but you cannot, for example, view NFT without paying for viewership. So you can introduce paid viewership over NFTs. Or you as Louvre can, for example,
Yep.
rent NFT to another gallery. You still own it as a museum, and you just temporarily give access to, let's say, a gallery in Germany for 1 month. So you send this NFT to their wallet, and in the smart contract, you write the term that in 1 month, this will be automatically returned back into your wallet. And this is pretty much it. And because it all happens in the virtual reality, virtual world, and on the website, you don't have to deal with shipping physical work, passing it through customs, going through all these complications of transporting, dealing with intellectual property rights across customs, fraud, et cetera, et cetera. And your viewers, if you are, well-established, well-financed gallery, you can also have virtual glasses and have an exhibition and an emergence show in any location you want, using virtual reality and the metaverse. Many people debate whether this experience is as good as the physical one. I personally tried Somnium Space and the Tesla suit and the latest virtual glasses, and I can tell you that that experience was very, very real. It felt just like being in any physical space. After some minutes, your brain no longer understands where you are. You perceive this reality. You move around like if you're really inside of that world. You can climb up on the rope, and if you fall down, it feels really real. So I think technology is really reaching the point where we're blurring the lines between the virtual world and the real world. Any other questions?
So there is a comment, if you can see it already. They are saying that it can't even be protected by copyright, talking from NFT, but there can be NFTs that can be specified, etc. So that was the 3D materials in VR. That was another comment from Betty.
I don't quite understand what you mean by 3D materials.
It's 3D in the glasses. When you watch with the visual glasses, it is 3D. So I think she meant that in the copyright.
Yeah, also, I mean, copyright, it's it's more of the law again, and it's very different in different countries. Because in some countries you have also like more conscious people. In England, people, for example, are very conscious about authorship, about rights. They respect it. They don't copy. If they copy something, they cite it. In other countries, it may be different because it's a cultural thing to me, really. And this is what we need to educate in schools, and just really emphasize the message that when the author writes a book or creates a piece of art, he invests a lot of work into it. It has value, so it cannot be just replicated, copied, and used without at least mentioning the author. But that's more a question of ethics and culture rather than technology.
Any other questions? Okay, Irina, thank you very much for your real, very, very broad explanation, because today's world, as you said, is very important. It's the first steps on the metaverse. Normally, it was announced in 1992 in a book, but it is, as you said, it gets very fame with the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. We are very, very honored. We are very, very happy to listen to you, to your views, to your explanation. And we are thanking on behalf of Istanbul Aydın University, Blockchain Academy, Blockchain Talks. And we hope we will cooperate and again in the future.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation, Errol. It's been a great pleasure to be here today and share with you some points and answer questions. If you have any more questions, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to guide you, also share links to ambassador programs and other materials that may help you in your journey into blockchain space and discovering Polkadot and Polkadot's ecosystem. And hope to see you soon again and cooperate in any capacity we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.